one of the biggest problems startups and corporates have is the fight between sales and tech. Salespeople sell stuff, tech don't necessarily feel confident to build. Tell us, Sam, you ran an engineering company for many years. Did you have this problem?
We certainly did, and I was on the tech side.
You were the one saying, no, it can't be done.
Absolutely. So one of my co-founders was very much into BD. He was listening to the customer voice, and he would turn back up, I've got this proposition, I've got this job, it's about to take off, let's go for it. And I'll be going, we can't do that. There's absolutely no way we're doing that. And we just got more and more extreme over time, pulled apart. I became more entrenched. He was pushing more and more. Come on, Sam, listen to the customer. So great that we fitted in with a standard that lots of other people have done.
So when your sales director was saying, come on, Sam, listen to the customer, get out of your hole and listen to the customer, what was your response to that?
You know, over time, it got more and more entrenched. I was like, no, we can't do this. Because at the back of my mind was always, I imagined every last detail, every development that we had to do, and I'd go into panic mode. So in the end, it was a, no, we can't do this.
And did you feel like saying to him, come on, mate, climb back down into the tech and really understand what our technical capability is here?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that he was very capable, but I felt he sort of lost touch with what we could do with our people and our tools.
And why were you doing that? Why were you saying no, do you think?
I was saying no. I think initially it's just panic. Because I could imagine all, oh my God, we've got to hire more people, we've got to do this, we've got to do this tech. I just imagine all this stuff. But I realised with hindsight that I never actually showed that bit of it. I was just, it can't be done. That was it.
So you never said to him, look, sales director guy or gal, I'm actually scared because I'm not sure how we're going to do this. You never said that.
I'm a bloke and an engineer.
I think I have my answer now. So what's the impact in the long term for doing this sort of stuff? From fighting continuously, especially at two senior people?
At a personal level, I mean, in the boardroom, it was just sometimes just bloodletting, and it was horrible for us because nobody wanted to have those meetings. So it was a horrible experience. But can you imagine the rest of the company? They could hear this, they could see our behaviour. So what happens to motivation of the team? All the stuff gets impacted by us, and we just become, you know, it's easy to become just locked. You just don't move, and then everybody else in the company picks up on that. So, you know, the end game is just history to the company, history to growth is the potential end game if neither of you can step down and actually.
So did you actually see the numbers move? For example, retention or anything else happening because of all your fights?
Well, I mean, retention definitely shifted, and I think this was an important component to it. So that our behaviour was directly impacting on the growth of our business, basically. Yeah.
So if you had a time machine, and I'm sure you can build that with your engineering skills, if you had a time machine, Sam, what would you do instead? Instead of this entrenched position of no, it can't be done, and both of you expecting the other person to change, what would you do instead this time?
It's very easy to say and quite hard to do for a blokey engineer, but the thing is just to show I'm struggling, I'm actually scared, I don't know how to do all this. If I could have talked through some of that and said, look, these are all the things that I'm worried about, my co-founder might have been able to hear me a bit more. Then I could have heard him a bit more too. So
the formula that I always say to people, say this expression, what prevents me from saying yes is. And just if you use that expression, that sets you up for telling them what's between you and saying yes to what they're proposing.
Absolutely.
And get them to say the same sort of thing.
The hardest thing, I mean, it's very topical and a bit trendy now, but it's vulnerability. Actually showing yourself and showing what you're struggling with, that is very hard. But what I've come to learn over the years is that the more honest and open we can be with each other, the better we perform as teams. But can you show yourself? That's the question.
That's the question. Yeah. So any other tips about what you would have done when you had your fight with the sales directors about them selling stuff you don't want to be sold?
I think another aspect, you know, one is to understand yourself and where your panic is coming from, and the other is actually just to spend a bit more time listening. We all spend a lot of time working out, while we're apparently listening, working out what we're going to say because we're right and we're going to tell them. And I was absolutely in that mold. I did not spend a lot of time listening. I was defending myself. I'm right, and I'm not listening to you. I'm just so stopping for a while and actually just listening. I mean, on the face of it, very simple very simple approaches, aren't they? But
So it's
listening
actually starting from the perspective of, I'm not trying to prove you wrong, I'm trying to listen to understand and see what I can do about it.
more. Absolutely.